it moves. It definitely moves. After what seems like ages, Jaguar Land Rover India is back in action. Through COVID and post-COVID, they were strangely silent. But now JLR, well, not the J, because forget India, even globally, Jaguar doesn't really have much in the way of products. But LR, they're doing really well for themselves. In India, they're going to kickstart the Defender journeys. The Defender, I think, is one of the coolest SUVs in its segment. And those journeys, along with long-time partner Cougar Motorsport, that's something really interesting and something I'm really looking forward to join one of their journeys in 2023. And on the product side, well, we had the full-size Range Rover a couple of weeks ago. Massive, huge, color of money, we called it. A massive, brilliant, awesome thing. And now we have the Range Rover Sport in time for Christmas in this blazing red Santa sleigh. Well, if Santa is a millionaire or a crorepati or whatever. Now, the Range Rover Sport, it's based on the same platform as the full-size Range Rover, but doing justice to the Sport in its name, it is smaller, lighter, a little bit more compact, and of course, more dynamically enthusiastic. The Range Rover Sport, I always thought was one of the coolest vehicles in the entire Range Rover lineup, and this I'm really looking forward to driving. And of course, if this video drops around time of Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, hope you have a great year ahead, and don't forget to stay subscribed to the Evo in your channel, hit that bell icon, click that like button, and of course, stay notified for all our video drops.
The Sport stays in step with design boss Jerry McGovern's reductive design philosophy, first seen on the Velar and executed to brilliant effect on the new Range Rover. Highlights on the Sport are the slim headlamps, flush surfaces, but more muscle than you'd find on either the Velar or the big Range Rover. There are also flush door handles, the characteristic floating roof, and a heavy skew towards the more sleek and stylish stance.
In terms of styling, this is a mighty impressive SUV. You see one of these on the road and your jaw will drop to the floor. If you see one of these in black, my God, it'll look brilliantly gangster. Except this rear end, I find it strangely unfinished. I think that whole reductionism, like you see those smooth, clean surfaces and all of that, for the rear, it just doesn't work. Though it still looks brilliant, and on those 22-inch wheels, they look fantastic. Except those 22-inch wheels also has a big impact on dynamics, and we'll come to that. Much like the full-size Range Rover, the Range Rover Sport also has a very minimal cabin. So you have this 13.3-inch screen mounted in a floating kind of manner. On this minimal kind of dash, you have the rotary knobs for the aircon, and that's about it. This button for the drive modes, so you can either use it via the controller or you can have this touch mode. You have dynamic, you also have the 4 off-road modes, but you don't have low ratio on this. In any case, this particular car is running on 22-inch wheels, and we'll be mad to take it off-road. If you cut a tire, my God, I don't want to get into that also. You have wireless charging in this tray right under the screen. And of course, I must run you through all the cool things that is there on the screen. So again, you have these widgets out here, which you can customize. I'll take you through the off-road modes. So you have your bearing, you can see what the center differential is doing, whether it's locked or not. You have the weight sensing, so you can raise the car, and you have maximum of 0.82 meters of water wading. You can change the theme of the screen, you can make it full bright, so it's better for the camera. You have the low traction launch, so if you're on snow, you can use that. It shows you the vehicle dimensions in case you forget. So it shows you the approach, departure, angles, the length, width, height, wheelbase, all of that. You scroll through, you have your air quality indicator. Luckily where we are, it's pretty clean, 109, and the ppm inside the cabin is 2.5. It's got air filtration. You can also purify. You have an ionizer. You can, well, exterior is okay and interior is good. So that's on the climate control. The seats, this I should point out, it has got massage. It's obviously optional. In fact, the options on this particular car cost around 11 lakhs. So you have the different massage types. the different massage directions. Massage is only available on the front seat, and the Range Rover Sport is for the driver, for the front seat guys. The rear seat is not as lavish as the Range Rover. The Sport is for drivers. So don't go around buying it for being chauffeured. Buy it because you enjoy driving, and we'll come to that in a bit. So these are the things that you have on the Range Rover Sport. You can also raise, lower the suspension. The air suspension comes standard. So you have access side where it goes nice and low, so you can just walk into the Range Rover Sport. And you have the off-road mode, which raises it hell of a lot, so you can really drive over almost anything. Except with 22-inch wheels, I don't think you should be doing that. You should be enjoying the car on the road, and that's what we're going to get into. The back seat of the Range Rover Sport is not particularly spacious or lavish. Now I've got 2 inches of free knee room. The driver's seat is adjusted to my driving position. My toes can tuck in under the front seat. So it's comfortable, it's acceptable, but it's not, like I said, lavish. The seats themselves, they are comfortable. They have good support, made of really nice materials. The grab handles, again, nice materials. So it feels high quality. The big panoramic sunroof lets in a lot of light into the cabin. So again, doesn't feel cooped in. Though, if you're going to be driving a Range Rover Sport to be sitting in the back and to be chauffeur driven in, this is not the SUV that I would recommend. If you're driving, this is great. If you've got 4 friends going on a driving holiday, this is great. But obviously everybody is going to be fighting for the driver's seat because all the action is on the front. Now, I also have to point out that some areas and some materials don't really blend well with this whole place of luxury. For instance, the way these cup holders deploy, they're not high quality. The way the backrest adjuster, it works, again, doesn't feel high quality. So there's this mix and match of materials, and these small little things, it just brings down the level of luxury inside the Range Rover Sport. This is the P400, that is 394 bhp, 550 Newton meters of torque, and it really does move. This is a fast SUV, and it has the handling to back up all that power from the engine. Except the ESP cuts in too aggressively. The Range Rover Sport, it shares its underpinnings with the full-size Range Rover, the same MLA-Flex platform. Now, this is an aluminum platform, but it has plenty of steel elements also, and that's been added to improve on the refinement because steel has better noise and vibration absorbing properties than aluminum. It is not light, it is well over 2.5 tons.
The body structure is 35% stiffer, it sits 20 mm lower, and the suspension uses a combination of double wishbones at the front and multi-link at the rear, with room for an electric motor for the EV version that is already in the works.
This is massive. It takes up a lot of space on the road, and it also intimidates other road users.
4-wheel drive and height adjustable air suspension is standard, but unlike on the full-size Range Rover, the Sport does not get active 4-wheel steering, and that does mean you can feel every bit of its 4.9 meters length and particularly the 2.2 meters width while driving it around these winding hill roads. And that's especially so since the 3-meter wheelbase is the same as the big brother with the regular wheelbase. Also not offered for India is the 48-volt active anti-roll bars that we saw on the full-size Range Rover, while internationally you also get the option of mechanical active torque vectoring differentials, which is not offered in India.
This sophisticated suspension that we spoke about when we drove the Range Rover, it delivers really good composure around bends. Now it does have body roll. This is a big SUV, but it's not all over the place. In fact, the body control is really good. It does justice to that Sport in its name. You can place it with precision. The steering is really nice. Then you stick it into Sport mode, and the first thing that you actually notice is that the engine noises are artificially amplified in the cabin. So even though this is a 6-cylinder engine, it sounds like a V8 from inside here. It does sound really sporty. There's a surprising amount of grip and bite. But there's also surprising amount of traction control interference. it doesn't need to be so aggressive. Even when it senses a hint of understeer, it starts cutting in. You can feel the brakes being applied by the ESP. This is a sport after all. You should be able to go around corners at an enthusiastic pace and not have this ESP intervene so aggressively, so enthusiastically, and so much of the time. I have my foot planted on the floor, but it's just not moving. It's just everything is cutting in and brrr. Maybe it is the all-season tires that it runs, so it doesn't run pure summer tires. So it can also run in a bit of snow, slippery surfaces. It can handle all of that. But who uses all of that in India? We use it on regular tarmac, and regular summer tires would have done really well on this. And considering that these are 22-inch wheels, the grip has to be monstrous. You should be able to carry more speed through these corners. And the other downside of these 22-inch tires, the ride is firm. The Range Rover, it was like a magic carpet over these very same roads. And it's just 3-4 weeks since we drove the Range Rover, so it's not like the roads have deteriorated in the intervening period. But this feels stiff, and because of that, there's a fair bit of noise inside the cabin. That's not a bump that you should be able to feel in a Range Rover. Be it a Sport or whatever, it's just too stiff. And 22-inch wheels are standard on the Sport. You can option it up to 23, but they don't give you smaller wheels. And of course, if I were to buy a Range Rover Sport, I would not put smaller wheels on it, because on 22s, it looks kick-ass. And in that sense, it's a compromise that I would be willing to live with, because it's not unlivable. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's so stiff that you can't live with the car and you can't drive it around. Nothing of that sort. It's just that when you talk about a Range Rover, our expectations are really high. Our expectations are of near Rolls-Royce kind of ride comfort. The Range Rover gives you that. The Defender, it gives you brilliant ride comfort. The Discovery Sport gives you brilliant ride comfort. The cabin, the ambience is spectacular. Okay, I should maybe reserve spectacular for the full-size Range Rover, but even compared to that, this feels really nice. Of course, you don't have those low sills, you don't have that throne kind of driving position. You can't rest your hand on the sill, you have to rest it on the door pads. But this is lower, so you sit not on top of the car, but within the SUV. So it does give you a sporty kind of feel to the driving environment. It does feel sporty, that's for sure. And it does not feel like a stripped down Range Rover. You might think, no, Sport at half the price of the full-size Range Rover, it feels like half as good as the Range Rover. Not really. This has its own unique charm and character.
The Indian lineup consists of both the diesel and petrol with 4 variants of each. The diesel starts at Rs 1.64 crores, while the starting price of the petrol Dynamic HSE is yet to be announced. The version we are testing here is the petrol Dynamic HSE, priced at 1.68 crore with 11 lakh worth of options added in. The first edition is also available on both the petrol and diesel, priced at Rs 1.81 crores and 1.84 crores respectively.
We debated this verdict long and hard. You see, on the face of it, 1.7 crore rupees for this plus 11 lakh in options, it has no value for money really. It makes no financial sense. There are other SUVs that give you more luxury, that when you sit at the back, they pamper you more, that give you more in terms of options and spec and everything, plus at a much cheaper price. But the Range Rover Sport, behind the wheel, there are fewer things that feel so epic. Of course, the ride is a little bit on the harder side and there are other limitations really, but a Range Rover Sport has always been a heart over head matter. If you have a ton of cash lying around, if you enjoy driving, if you like to drive yourself and if you like an SUV, there are fewer things that you can indulge yourself with. There are fewer things that behind the wheel make you feel as good about life as this SUV does.